Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Manjiri Nadkarni, Ayurvedic MD, registered holistic nutritionist, back today with another session of Wellness Wednesday. I'm just going to make sure all my audio is good because, okay. So if you are watching this live and if you can hear me, just say a quick hi or let me know you can hear me well. Today's topic is we are going to talk about some minerals, not about heart health, but we are going to talk about anxiety and depression. And we're going to talk about other mood disorders and how certain minerals are super important to keep your mood and for your mental health. We are also going to talk about the foods that you can source these and what supplemental forms you are going to benefit from if you are deficient in this mineral. This entire month, we are talking about minerals. One of the reasons is that this is the summer month, this is where everybody's out and about and you're sweating a lot, and when you sweat a lot you are going to lose minerals. Also, in today's world, due to our diet and lifestyle, in today's world where we wake up to a cup of coffee, coffee is something that can deplete your minerals. So it becomes really essential to ensure that you're getting good minerals from the food that you eat. And the third point from an Ayurvedic perspective is, we live in a Vata deranged world. We live in a world where the wind factor in the body is totally out of control. And whenever there is Vat dosh that has aggravated, your body is in a state of depletion, which will lead to chronic anxiety, which will lead to depression, which will lead to depression, and which will also cause these if you are regular with taking your getting minerals, preferably from a food form rather than a supplemental form. There are situations where you can supplement the minerals for sure, but the best absorption always is going to occur through foods. We start with the number one mineral, and I have spoken about this mineral time and again. It's magnesium. We live in a vata deranged world. We also live in a world where we are all magnesium deficient. And being magnesium deficient is going to cause a lot of different symptoms. When we talk about physical symptoms, you can see eye twitching or muscle cramping, joint aches, muscle aches, but also a lot of cognitive disorders. If you cannot focus, if you cannot sit still, if there is a lot of impulsivity, you do a lot of impulse buying. Late nights you're on Amazon and suddenly you end up buying because you can't control that impulse. Or if you're trying to finish an assignment and you're super distracted, magnesium is one mineral that can definitely help you. Magnesium also helps you with both anxiety as well as depression, because it is something that modulates your neurotransmitters like serotonin. Serotonin, as I mentioned before, is the happy hormone. It's supposed to keep you calm, it's supposed to make you happy. So, magnesium not only helps with serotonin, which helps elevate your mood, it also helps with dopamine. Um, the impulsivity that I was talking about, that comes from dopamine deficiency. So, it really helps upregulate the dopamine as well. Every time your body is under a lot of stress, the number one mineral that's used up very fast is magnesium. It's called the anti-stress mineral, and it is also important for regulating something called the HPA axis, which is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. So if you are somebody who's been experiencing an emotional or a physical burnout, of course you are going to be depressed or anxious if you are completely burnt out, and that is a result of magnesium deficiency. If you are someone who's struggling with a restful sleep at night, magnesium is the mineral that can really help support your sleep patterns, so you get into a deep rested sleep and you are going to wake up in feeling very rested, and you're not going to wake up several times throughout the night. When it comes to brain function, there are certain synapses between neurons, and it is essential for them to kind of have plasticity, which means that they can kind of move around. So it is super important. Like magnesium is important, especially when we talk about cognitive function, when we talk about memory, when we even talk about emotional regulation, right? So emotions, strong emotions are a part of life. Somebody says something, you are bound to be angry, you are bound to be frustrated, but your ability to regulate your emotions comes from magnesium. So if you are someone who's finding yourself very snappy, very anxious, very irritated, very depressed, you have to focus on magnesium. And magnesium is also anti-inflammatory. When it comes to one of the properties of magnesium, it is also an anti-inflammatory mineral, which also means that it's going to lower your inflammation, especially the inflammation in your brain. And this is one of the reasons why focusing on magnesium should be a part of your daily dietary regimen. As I said before, leafy greens are the best ones when it comes to magnesium. Whether you're looking at spinach or Swiss chard or kale or collard greens, anything that's dark green has ample amounts of magnesium due to chlorophyll. Nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes also have a good amount of magnesium in them. And ensuring that you get this magnesium, you have at least a cup or two of cooked leafy greens. Super important. In the springtime, you can have in the form of salads. You can, as per your digestibility, farmers market, there are amazing options, where I'm getting my organic salads nowadays, and I'm really enjoying those, and I can digest those. I know Ayurveda doesn't recommend you eating a lot of raw food, but in the summer months, as per your digestive capacity, if you can handle it, definitely you can enjoy some. You just have to make sure you're chewing the food extremely well to facilitate that the food is being broken down by your salivary enzymes, and also the mechanical digestion of that salads happens. If you just gulp a salad, you're never going to digest it, right? So number one mineral to have for mood, cognition, memory, everything is magnesium. Now in the last session as well, I've talked about different forms of magnesium from a supplement perspective. Also magnesium is one of the most commonly taken supplements. So if you are someone who's taking magnesium, please let me know what form of magnesium are you taking, and then I can talk to you about my favorite form, the one that I take, and the reason why. So I'm seeing a few of you, Bhavna Mehta, Yoga, you has joined, Shubhangi is here, Colleen is here, um, Dania Purva is here, Maitri is here. So there are quite a few people here on Facebook Live. I want to know what type of magnesium you are consuming. If you can tell me how much in quantity, that's even better. But what kind of magnesium? Are you having it in the form of food, or are you supplementing with magnesium? And what kind of magnesium are you taking? Right? So that's something that I would like to know. When it comes to magnesium, there are several kinds. So there is one called citrate, which is citric acid with magnesium. Like when you're magnesium citrate, that's the combination, and when you put it in hot water, the magnesium gets activated. And super important for those having constipation, it is absorbed better than oxides. It's also the kind of magnesium that's going to help you with muscle cramping, or any kind of joint pain, a lot of inflammation in the body. There is the bisglycinate or the glycinate, which is attached to glycine, which is an amino acid that is known for its high bioavailability. So it's absorbed way better. That's really good for something like lowering your blood pressure. It's also really good for mood as well, because you're absorbing more of it. It has a very relaxation effect on the body. And even sleep, magnesium bisglycinate, magnesium glycinate are seen to support your sleep patterns. There is the magnesium sulfates. There are different kinds of magnesium. The one that I absolutely like for brain function, and this works really well. I have used it in my clients having dementia. I've used it in my clients who have Parkinson's disease. I've used it in different clients with different mood disorders as well. So magnesium threonate is the one that works amazing. And magnesium threonate is also the one that I take as needed uh, to support my cognitive function, because a lot of what I do involves a lot of brain work, right? So my brain can tend to get exhausted. So magnesium threonate is the one that I use in my supplement regimen. So if you are looking for cognitive support, if you are looking for mood support, if you are looking for, like for anxiety or depression, try magnesium threonate. It is the kind of magnesium that's bioavailable in the brain that can cross the blood brain barrier and really get concentrated in your brain and help you with your mood as well as your impulsivity. Especially children having ADHD, or even adults, diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, this is a really good supplement to include in your daily diet. This is especially important for picky eaters, who are not eating their leafy greens. Of course, food should always be the first form, but if you cannot eat certain foods due to whatever reason, this is going to be the second best option. The second mineral that we are going to talk about is zinc. So zinc is vital for brain function and also body's response to stress. Zinc is also super important for balancing your blood sugar and has been associated with both anxiety and depression if it is deficient, right? So it will moderate the levels of the body. Again, when we talk about impulsivity, inability to control that impulse, inability to regulate your emotions, zinc is another vital mineral that takes part in impulsivity control as well. So zinc is going to help synthesize GABA and other neurotransmitters that will regulate your mood. It is an antioxidant, so it is going to protect your brain from oxidative stress. It is super important for immune system as well. So if you are someone going through a lowered immune system, if you are catching every virus, every bug out there, your body is also going to be very inflamed. Your immune system is constantly engaged in battling those viruses, and your entire body, a lot of systems are going to get wonky if your immune system is unable to do its job properly. When we talk about hormonal regulation, zinc becomes super important. When we talk about women during the perimenopause or women after they reach menopause, zinc is also super important, because post menopause you're also going to see women be more prone to type 2 diabetes. You're also going to see a lot of hormonal changes cause a lot of mood related issues. Depression can be very common, or anxiety can be very common when it comes to the perimenopause or menopause, and this is where zinc works fantastically. So if you are someone who is looking for boosting your immunity, balancing your mood, as well as protecting your brain against different um, inflammatory compounds, zinc can be one of your daily regimen. Something as simple as eating a handful of pumpkin seeds is going to give you a good amount of zinc. The one thing that I do is, whenever I'm making any kind of salad or as a snack, I'll toast some pumpkin seeds, I'll add some lime juice, I'll add some kind of curry powder to it, and that can be my snack. Or if I'm making any stir fry, I'll make like the sauce with pumpkin seed butter as well. So that's another way you can add good amounts of zinc. For those that love seafood, shellfish is a really good source of zinc. Different kinds of nuts and seeds, meat are going to be good sources of zinc as well. It's not just about what you eat. Again, it's important to be able to digest it. There are different forms of zinc available. Picolinate has a superior absorption. Citrate as well as gluconate are used as well. So pick the kind of zinc that you um, that works well for you, that works well for your gut, but also make sure that try to eat foods that are super rich in zinc. The third mineral that I am going to talk about today is iron. We have done a whole session on iron. We've talked about the benefits of iron when it comes to your overall health, but now we are going to talk about benefits of iron when it comes to your mood, focus, concentration as well. Iron deficiency has been studied widely, and in children who are deficient in iron, you will also see a lot of cognitive impairment. You will also see that it can lead to mental retardation as well as different behavioral disorders. So, having good amounts of iron, absorbing good amounts of iron is super important. If you are someone who is on acid, any kind of PPI, proton pump inhibitor, any medication that blocks your stomach acid, chances are you're deficient in all the minerals that I'm talking about, because you need your stomach acid to extract minerals from the food. So, just eating a lot of food when you're not extracting the minerals is not going to be beneficial in the long term. So, you want to make sure that you're regulating your gut health as well. And similarly, for mood disorders, regulating your gut health is crucial. So make sure that um, you're focusing on your gut health as well. Now, when it comes to iron, it can help with both anxiety as well as depression. It carries, like, iron is the central molecule of hemoglobin, which helps oxygenation. It carries hemoglobin, carries a lot of oxygen, and it can also carry that oxygen in the brain and help with cognitive function, help with mood. It helps with energy production. It also helps with dopamine regulation. So, when we talk about motivation, when we talk about pleasure, we talk about impulsivity, dopamine is going to be very important. So, having good amounts of iron holds a lot of value here. Memory, attention, other cognitive functions are affected by low iron, and iron can also reduce a lot of inflammation in the body. Having good amounts of lentils, red lentils, spinach, beans, red meat, if you're somebody that loves eating meat, or would be a good idea to include in your diet. Various supplements are available: ferrous bisglycinate, gluconate, sulfate. So you can try one, and there are specific formulas that are also specific for constipation, preventing constipation. You can try that. We come to the fourth one, which is calcium. The fifth one is super important. So, if you have any questions so far, please, post them as comments here, and I can see some of you are live. And then I'm going to talk about two main foods which you can include in your diet. So you can source all of these minerals, so you can source all the minerals: iron, calcium, zinc, everything I'm talking about. So if you stay till the end, you are going to learn about two foods that will help you build up all the minerals in your body, right? So, fourth one, calcium. We talk about calcium when it comes to bone health, but we also need to talk about calcium and mood, because a lot of your fatigue, sluggishness, irritability, anxiety, depression is also a result of lowered calcium. When we talk about calcium, calcium is one mineral that can help stabilize your mood and have a lot of calming effect on your body. And especially, we have studied calcium with PMS. So if you are someone who has a lot of mood swings, who is raging before PMS. And I've seen women who are like super angry, super irritable. I was one of those as well, right? So if you are super angry, almost raging before your PMS, if you have a lot of PMS symptoms, calcium is something you have to incorporate in form of food, in form of, your diet. So that's extremely important. So calcium is going to help with the release of neurotransmitters, helps with muscle relaxation, helps with hormones, especially when we talk about, hormones like calcitriol or parathyroid hormone, vitamin D. We are talking about calcium. your sleep quality, so not just magnesium, but taking good amounts of calcium or having foods that have good amounts of calcium really promote sleep. And this is one of the reasons why in Ayurveda we talk about, if you're hungry at night, don't have a meal, but rather have some warm A2 cow milk with a little bit of turmeric. Turmeric will clear the phlegmy effect of milk, and milk being a calcium rich food, it's also a tryptophan containing food. It's going to calm you down and help you sleep better. And calcium is also super important for your heart health as well. um, there are going to be different forms of calcium. So dairy, whether we talk about paneer, whether we talk about milk, whether we talk about cheeses, they are good forms or good sources of calcium. Make sure you are able to digest the dairy. In my practice, I've seen a lot of clients react to casein, which constitutes 80% of the milk proteins. Whey is the 20%. But if you are able to digest, or if you want to include dairy, try to go for organic dairy, that is A2 milk. And A2 milk, you can get it in different grocery stores. Always boil the milk, right? So in India, if you remember, we would always boil the milk and then refrigerate it. So make sure you're always boiling the milk before you consume it. And always go for A2 milk, which is a good source of calcium. Almonds are another great source of calcium. So if you soak 6 almonds at night, peel them in the morning, chew them well, that's going to contain good amounts of calcium. Uh, Different nut milks, or foam milks, made with different foods, like whether oat milk or whether we are talking about almond milk, they don't contain a lot of calcium. Foods are fortified with calcium. You'll see a lot of plant-based milks fortified with calcium, but supplemental forms of minerals that are synthetic are not going to be absorbed as well. So anything that's not in a natural form, an example is table salt, which is iodized, you're not absorbing the iodine. Fortified calcium milk, you're not going to absorb as much calcium. But things like broccoli, kale also have good amounts of calcium. Leafy green spinach will have calcium. Collard greens will have calcium. So if you eat whole foods, you are going to get good amounts of calcium. And if you wait till the end, I'm going to talk about two foods that you can include in your diet that will give you a lot of these minerals. The fifth one is selenium. So my question is, have you heard about the mineral selenium? Um, have you used it before, or have you ever thought about sourcing it from the food? Today, minerals become a very important topic when it comes to health, because the soil is deficient, right? So the soil is going to be deficient, and that is one of the reasons why you have to be extra cautious to be able to source it from the food. Vaishali, coconut has a lot of potassium. I don't believe it has a lot of calcium. So coconut milk, coconut water, it has a lot more potassium than calcium. But wait till the end. We have 2 more minutes to go, and then we're going to talk about main foods that are really going to, help you with your source of calcium as well as all the minerals, right? So I have one more selenium to contain talk about, and then I'm going to talk about two bonus foods, and then I'm going to talk about like another bonus food for somebody who is okay with like eating non-vegetarian food. So two vegetarian sources, not quite vegan, and then one non-vegetarian source. So selenium, super important. Selenium is an antioxidant. It protects your cells. It's extremely potent at regulating your immune system. It is also super important for thyroid function. For women who have Hashimoto's or who have any kind of autoimmune thyroid condition, having selenium as a part of your diet, as a part of your regular dietary protocol becomes extremely important. Minimum 200 micrograms a day is a good amount to have. Selenium also can help decrease depressive symptoms. So there are clinical studies that have been done and seen that taking selenium including it in your food can really help lower the symptoms of depression. For those having chronic depression, adding selenium to your diet is going to be very important. And it's also something that's going to lower the inflammation on the body, lower the oxidative stress, and is one of the potent minerals when it comes to cancer management as well. So again, lots of antioxidant properties here. It really helps brain work better. It works as a super amazing antioxidant and lowers inflammation in the brain as well, and regulates your mood, lowering anxiety as well as depression. In supplemental form, you can have selenium methionine or sodium selenate or selenium yeast. You can buy different forms. The one thing I absolutely love is, having Brazil nuts 2 to 3 every single day will give you good amounts of selenium. So 6 Brazil nuts typically contain about 550 micrograms. So even if you go for 3 Brazil nuts every single day, that is going to give you good amounts of selenium in your diet. So your immune system stays good and you can keep anxiety, depression at bay. It is a potent antioxidant and it reduces inflammation in the brain, right? So seafood, similar to zinc, contains good amounts of selenium, especially when we talk about oysters and clams. They will contain good amounts of zinc and selenium. Meat, eggs, whole grains are going to contain selenium. When we talk about vegetable sources of these minerals, you want to ensure that the vegetable has grown in a soil that contains the minerals, right? Otherwise, the plant is not going to get that minerals. So if you are, like Canada, I find the soil very deficient. It's not as mineral rich, and that is why there is a significant taste in the same vegetables grown in the soil in India versus soil grown in Canada. And when I grow my foods organically at my home with my own kind of soil, I grow some foods hydroponically as well, ensuring they get all the minerals. They taste completely different than store bought, or grocery bought foods. So make sure you buy the highest quality foods available to you, right? You can go for farmers markets where you can find a lot of organic fresh fruits, vegetables this time, and that's going to help you with your requirements of all the minerals that we are talking about. So now, what are some foods that you can include in your diet on a daily basis that contain all these minerals? Is molasses, right? So molasses in Marathi, it's known as kakvi. So it's like a stage before sugar is made. It's lower in glycemic index as compared to sugar. It has a lot of minerals and trace minerals, right? It has at least 80 minerals and trace minerals. So molasses, make sure, if you are deficient in iron, you can add a teaspoon or two of molasses whenever you're cooking, and especially to foods that have a very earthy taste. So if you're making a dish that has mushrooms or something very earthy like red quinoa, red rice dishes, if you add a lot of onions to it, molasses can work well. So some recipes here would be like chilies, or adding them to soups, adding some to dals as well is a good idea. Molasses is going to give you a lot of minerals, including a lot of trace minerals like molybdenum, some of the things we haven't talked about today, but those are super important for detoxification. Another amazing food to include in your diet is nutritional yeast. Always buy the organic kind. We have some at Blue Water Nutrition. You can sprinkle some on your foods, or if you are making your own dressings, you can add a teaspoon or so of the nutritional yeast to your dressings to give it a nice cheesy flavor. So, nutritional yeast is used in a lot of vegan recipes to enhance that cheesy flavor. Like if you look at vegan Alfredo recipe, there'll be cashews along with good amounts of nutritional yeast. But nutritional yeast is a powerhouse of minerals. It has good amounts of minerals and it has amazing amounts of B vitamins that are super important for brain function. So these two, if you are a vegetarian. The third one that works extremely well if you are into non-vegetarian foods is bone broths, right? So eating making a bone broth, if you are cooking your chicken or beef or goat or any kind of animal protein, you can start saving the bones and slow cook them in a slow cooker for at least 24 to 48 hours. Sure you add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. You can add some seaweed as well. For vegetarians, if you don't want to go for bones, you can add some seaweed, which is sea vegetables. You can get strips of kombu or wakame, or different kinds of sea vegetables, and those sea vegetables are packed with minerals. So you can make a vegetable broth, or you could make a bone broth and just let it cook. And you can put a lot of vegetable scraps as well, peels of onion, you can put peels of garlic, you can put celery, like the end part of celery that nobody really eats, or whatever, peels of carrot and any of the discarded vegetable pieces, and cook this broth. And this broth is super potent, not only in minerals but in also certain phytonutrients, depending on what you add to the food. And then you can strain this broth, you can store it in your refrigerator and mason jars and use it in cooking. If you think this is very tedious to do, if you are someone who eats meat, make sure you make a soup or a stew if you don't want to make the broth, but make sure you're cooking it for a long time. And do not buy the boneless pieces. They're not going to get enough calcium, you're not going to get any minerals from the boneless types of meats, right? So this is a little talk today on making sure your mood stays good. We talked about anxiety, we talked about depression, we talked about 5 key minerals, we talked about how to source those, best supplemental forms. If you like this video, please, you can go to my Facebook page, or you could go to my YouTube page as well. They're both at the rate Manjiri Ayurveda, and you can post your comments, or you can ask me any questions that you have, and please share it with your friends as well. Next session is the last session of the minerals. We are going to talk about mineral deficiencies and weight gain. So if you are someone who's struggling with weight, uh, you have no ideas what's going on, we're going to talk about 5 key minerals and how they can help you with weight loss, and how to source those best form for weight loss for that mineral. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic afternoon. I will see you next week for another Wellness Wednesday. Bye for now.